Mariana de la Vega is the founder of the Consciousness Lab. The lab explores fundamental questions of Qigong, like why do we practice? What do we know for sure? And what do we really want? Today, she shares fascinating insights with us. My name is Thorsten Lüdecke, and this is the Wisdom Qigong podcast. All right, everyone, welcome to the Wisdom Qigong podcast. I've got Mariana de la Vega with us today. It's the second time we meet. And Mariana, the last time you introduced the Consciousness Lab to us, and we're going to explore this a little more. Can you just quickly give us an introduction in what the Conscious Lab actually is, please?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everybody. It's so nice to be here. Thank you so much, Thorsten. The Consciousness Lab was an initiative that started just like this exercise of reading part of the theory, reflecting on it, meditating on the theory, but not just Qin and Qigong theory, also, all the background that Qin and Qigong has, like Taoism or Buddhism, some Confucianism, some really, really ancient texts, and, some of the revisited versions interpreted by, modern and contemporary masters, and just trying to meditate on those texts. Not so much to understand the theory, but just connect with the profound and deep message, and try to bring that not only to the practice of the methods, but actually to real life. An expression that I found useful is, okay, now we have all this explanation, and how do I bring that to my relationship with my teenage daughter?
Right.
How can I eat this? Is it cold? Is it hot? So that was like the first intention of the Consciousness Lab. We've been meeting for over a year now. We've reviewed a lot of text, and I decided to wait for a little while before reviewing Qin and Qigong texts because they're not so easy to read. So we had all this background, but the first question we asked ourselves was, why do I practice? What am I expecting? Why I do anything in my life? That was like our first question. And of course, everybody can answer something different. In Qin and Qigong, it's really common that people approach this practice from a healing body illnesses point of view. So that's like the common ground for most of us. But we come to understand that Qin and Qigong is not just a series of methods to make qi and blood flow well in the body and, recover functions and get rid of illness. It's so much more than that. So we first made this question. Why do we practice? What are we expecting from this practice? And it was a very interesting question. And we keep asking this over and over and over again throughout the year, throughout our meetings. And then, we started, bringing consciousness into a lab.
So if I understand that correctly, you're not tackling this question from an analytical mind, where I'll say, okay, I want to heal my knee and I want this in my life and so on. Because you said you are meditating over these questions. So really, by meditating over them and just asking them over and over and over again, you're kind of surpassing your conscious mind. and allowing to whatever is deep inside you from your true self to pop up and become visible. Is that what you're doing with this practice?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the first impulse when you get asked this question is, of course, I want to heal cancer, or I want to, but deep down, what are you looking for? And we came to this word. We said, okay, what we all want is happiness. We just want to be happy. And if we delve deeper into this word, we find that we just want to stop suffering. And obviously we connected a lot with Buddhism in this sense, because Buddhism is, this research, this deep investigation into what suffering is. So we started with that, and we started meditating. And then when we came across the Chinese Qigong texts, we started with paranormal abilities, and then we practiced some of the methods, but we focus mainly on what paranormal abilities are aiming at is to understand that the limits that you have in your mind are self-imposed limits. The mind has no limits. You only have the limits of your beliefs. So we were not interested in, moving things with the mind, or, developing some clairvoyance or any of those specifically. But it was just like, start breaking those limits and just realizing, just having this insight that what is the mind? The mind is what you believe it to be. So then we started reviewing Dr. Pang's Hunyuan entirety theory. And it was funny because we just got up in this trap of what is Hunyuan Qi? What is Hunyuan Si? What is Hunhua? What is... So people started, intellectually trying to understand the book. So we decided to make a stop, like halt. Okay, everybody, this is not the intention of the Consciousness Lab. So what are we going to do now? Let's work. Let's go back to basics. And we did this very interesting exercise. What is the only thing in your life that you're certain about? What is the only thing? So we started meditating on that, and we based this practice in, I think he's German, I'm not sure, or from Austria, Bernardo Castro, maybe you've heard of him. He's the scientist, consciousness scientist. And he said, if we, set aside just for a while all the concepts, all the words, because we have to agree on a meaning to start using the big words like consciousness, like universe, and we can, waste a lot of energy, a lot of time just trying to agree on a definition. But what if we just put these words on the side just for a while and just dwell and immerse yourself in the experience of now? So the only thing that is certain in your life is that you're having an experience. There is an experience. We're not going to describe the experience, because the experience is made up of all these elements, the sensory organs, information, the feelings, the emotions, the thoughts, the concepts. Let's just say there's an experience. We don't have to agree on this because it's evident for all of us. There's an experience. Life is an experience. And the second thing that is automatically understood is that if there is an experience, there is something having the experience. Something or someone. We're just not going to go into the concepts of consciousness, mind, self. So if you review what you call your life experiences, you can connect with some memories. And if I ask you, just connect with an experience you had as a child, a memory is going to come up, just pop up. And then connect with an experience when you were 25 years old. And then an experience you had when you were 32, and et cetera, et cetera. The content of the experience changes all the time, because the experience, by definition, is that it's a process, a changing. But what was constant? What was always present in the experience? That's something that perceives or has the experience. So then we returned to Dr. Pang's book, and we found so much meaning in words and in phrases that were, like, we don't understand this. And we came across this one very special phrase. I'm just going to read it. That says, humans' knowledge about the world of nature is in essence the natural world having reached this stage of knowing itself. So what the entirety theory talks about is that not only everything in the universe is connected, it's just that it's just one thing, and that one thing is experience. You cannot separate the experiencer from the experience. The experiencer is the experience. And when you realize this, it's just the universe realizing itself through the experience. So what happens? What we've seen in the Consciousness Lab is what happens when you realize that illness, sadness, anxiety, longing, searching, depression, or love, whatever, is just an experience. What changes in your life when you just realize it is an experience unfolding, and that the experiencer, that is yourself, is just that, the experience in itself. So it's a very interesting practice or meditation because it's a natural detachment from duality. You no longer say, this is good, this is bad, this is correct, this is incorrect. It's just experience. It's just the universe experiencing itself. The Consciousness Lab has a life of its own, so it's taking this course, this path, because I don't know if you agree with me, but we live in a time where consciousness language is everywhere. We see it in books, we see it in social media, etc., etc. And one of the phrases that we hear a lot, that we repeat ourselves all the time, is the answers are within. So we start looking within, but we don't know what within is. So you say, where? Inside my body? Inside my mind? Inside of where? So the next question should be, what is the body? What is the mind? But naturally, you get like no answer. And you get this feeling that you can go deeper than that. And the one question that stops this searching is, who am I? What am I? When I say when I say I want happiness, when I say I am suffering, when I say I am a woman, when I say I am sick, what is the I? And I think what Dr. Pang is saying through these books is that these teachings is that you can see yourself in everything. Everything is you. This is an entirety. So when you say, let's go within, you don't have to go into the body. You can take a look at the universe because you're taking a look at yourself when you see everything else. So that's, the way we're taking with this consciousness lab. It's been so interesting.
We have a way you can discover Qigong. So at the Tuning Qigong Students Hub, we know that understanding Qigong is very important. And also that Tuning Qigong in itself has various nuances that people can't easily comprehend. So we've approached it in the style of a video game. On this page, Discover Qigong, you can select your character. So you can either be a beginner, a practitioner, or a holistic healer or self-healer. And you click on your character and it takes you to these different sections. In these sections, you can explore the nuances. And when you click on a card, all of the resources pop up, and we've made it really fun and not many people know about it. So if you are interested, have a look and discover Qigong.
That was so beautiful, Mariana. Usually I try to summarize and rephrase in my own words, but I don't think I can do that because you've really taken us through a beautiful journey here. And so I was listening in awe, and I suppose that our audience will have done the same, and they might just go back and rewind to listen to it again. So I think, maybe we can just dive into a few ideas that you presented. And you started off with focusing on experience, because you said this is the only thing you can be certain of. Now, even if I see a mountain, the mountain is already my interpretation. Really, the experience is that there's some light coming through my eyes, and I can experience something. So basically, the experience is the raw data before my mind kicks in and comes with any interpretation or any judgment, right?
Yeah.
And from that point, you moved on by saying, okay, so there is no distinction, no difference between the experience and the experiencer, because it is the experience in itself is something that is happening, and that is me, or at that moment experiencing whatever there is. So we cannot say I am having an experience here. It is really the same thing. And so I'm right till this point, right? But I follow your okay, good. And then, because everything is an experience, you came to the conclusion that basically my experience is just the universe expressing itself through me.
Yeah.
So this is all that it is. And if I don't go into the judgments, if I don't go into the interpretations, that means now the initial question where you started with, like, I just want to be happy, or I want no suffering, this kind of disappears, because if it's just the experience and I don't put the labels on it, then these things become meaningless. Like real meaningless in a good sense. That is doesn't mean, like, oh my God, I have to be so sad, or I have to be this, or this is so bad, or I'm suffering. It's you call it detachment from the suffering, right?
yeah, it's a detachment from these opposites, this dualistic view. Dr.
Yes.
Pang says what human consciousness, human mind has made is a world of opposites. And the basic opposite is subject and object. So we view ourselves as the subjects experiencing objects,
Right.
or knowing objects. So if we take a look at modern science, that's what science does. It's just trying to understand the universe from this distinction. The subject is observing a lot of objects and trying to explain these objects. So Dr. Pang says this has been very harmful for human beings because this separation is an illusion.
Yes.
So this separation has caused, first of all, to separate ourselves from nature and trying to dominate nature. In second place, what this has done is separating ourselves from society. So society has gradually walked in the path of individualization. So you have to look within yourself to be happy yourself. So you have to do what you have to make yourself happy. And it is your responsibility to be happy. It is your responsibility to be safe, to be healthy. And we're part of a society. It's the responsibility of all the parts of society to make us happy, to make us healthy. And that alongside with being one with nature. So Dr. Pang says these opposites, just making our starting point that there's a subject interacting with objects, it's just a partial view, and it's the root of suffering. When we come to understand that subject and object are the same thing, are an entirety. And how do we do this? He says, well, through the practice of the methods, the first thing is that you start understanding that your body, your life activity is an entirety of Jing, Qi, and Shen, body, energy, and mind or spirit. There is no independence of these elements. We're just using language to explain three different expressions of the same thing, which is Hundu and Qi.
Yes.
But there's no body apart from energy and apart from mind or spirit. It's just a way of explaining it. So the first thing is that the methods are so well designed, have so much wisdom behind the movements, behind the sequences, that what we're doing is just integrating or reconciliating, these three elements. There is no movement, there is no life activity in what we call the body if there is no energy and information working at the same time. So we start understanding that. But then we have to move on to Dr. Pang says paranormal abilities. We start making Hunhua. We start understanding that every time we have an experience of what we call an object, and that object includes the body. When we have this experience, we're merging and transforming. So we tend to identify so much with the body that we say me and we touch the body, And really the body is just an experience of this thing we call experiencer or I or consciousness. And then the third stage described by Dr. Pang is when the subject and the object become one. That is when consciousness becomes its own object. So when consciousness realizes itself, then we get to what we call enlightenment or awakening. And we realize that there's no separation and everything is just the universe knowing itself, or consciousness expressing itself through everything. So there's no inside, no outside. There's no universe outside, out there, very far. But because when we think about universe, most of us first think about stars, galaxies, planets. No, universe is everything. There was a very beautiful insight when one of the teachers explained that the character in Chinese for universe is time and space united. So it's all of the time, all of the space. That's universe. So when we returned and we started reading again these several passages of the book, there was a very different understanding. It was we're just experiencing the book and not just trying to understand the concepts, because it's so easy to let your mind think and let your mind believe that if you accumulate a lot of concepts and explanations and you start talking with all this language, then you've evolved in your happiness searching. It's just a very big trap. I think we will encounter sometime or other in this searching. But there has to be like a stop of the searching. And when you realize there is no person, no body searching, the search has to stop. This is it. The experience is it.
Now, I have to challenge you here a little, because initially when we started, you said that one of the reasons you founded the Consciousness Lab is that you wanted to find ways how to implement these insights into your daily life. And we've been talking about this beautiful ideas that you've presented, which is the reality. So I think ideas is the wrong word, because I think you hit the nail on the how do you say it, on the head. But is there any for us now on a daily way basis, because we don't want to go back now to our daily life thinking, wow, this was a beautiful conversation, and then move on as we always do. You said that you're gonna look into how can I implement it in my daily life with my teenage daughter. That was your example. So how do you use these insights in your daily life, Mariana?
Well, first of all, I don't mean this to be like, a formula or a set of steps, but what I do is just notice the resistance to the experience, because there's only experience, and the experience is all there is. And when you resist to the experience, you create this illusion of suffering. So we all have a lot of experiences. If we want to, fragment them or separate them, it's just one experience after all. But if you want to say, okay, I'm having this conversation with a friend, that's an experience. And you don't like, your mind starts saying, what my friend is saying, it's hurtful, blah, 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 blah. Then you notice the resistance to the experience of consciousness being with itself. So you notice like this distinction. I'm a subject observing, or even trying to control an object, in this case, another person. But when you realize it's just the experience is everything there is, and there is no me and you, it's just experience, and you let go of the resistance, I would say that's good enough. I don't know if that's, complete bliss or joy, but it really changes the way I live when I just notice the resistance to the experience.
The practical application is not so much, oh, I learned something, I will deal with my daughter in a different way. That's not what it is. It is more because of the insight, your ways of being changes. And you show up because you are a different person with that insight and with this level of consciousness. And that changes everything in the relationship with your daughter or with people around you or with all of your life, right?
Yeah. And then you start noticing that sometimes there's anger, sometimes there's frustration. That's the experience. But when you resist anger and you resist frustration, you create something else. So the first step is just noticing the resistance and even resist the impulse to judge yourself because you're resisting the experience. It's just, hey, relax the resistance to whatever. What is. And then what happens is that you start reacting differently. What I've noticed with some friends, some people around me, my parents, my daughter, is that they say, you've been reacting less and less to some things. But it's not my intention to not react. My intention is just noticing the resistance to the experience. So it's a different approach, because in the first one, you want to change yourself, but then again, you're identifying yourself with a character, with a personality, so you make all these efforts to be a good person, and you're always a work in progress. And it's never good enough, because there's always this comparison. I could do better. I could be more compassionate. I could be more generous. I could be more kind. But when you simply notice the resistance to what is, automatically the subject becomes the object of observation. You really get to observe. Because all the time what we're doing is we're resisting to what is. We're resisting to what we call suffering, but we're also resisting to pleasure ending. I mean, if you're having a really good time, a really happy moment, you're resisting by having the idea this should last longer. What should I do to make this repeat again and again? So you're with friends and you're having a good time, and then you start, we should meet more often. Let's all bring out our calendars. When can we meet again? And repeat this good time. That's a kind of resistance. So you're having a good time, just resist. You tend to resist to the idea that this will also end. So the noticing of the resistance is, the step or the practice, if we can call it that right now has given me a lot of insight.
And I love that approach, because it's so different from how most people go through life. When we're trying to enforce rules upon us, like you said, okay, be more kind. Don't be so angry when your daughter says this. Yeah, don't do this. Be that way, and that doesn't work, as we know, because it's something where we basically put force upon ourselves. So we do ourselves, a crime towards me if I do that. While if it's coming purely from an insight and this action is derived from something deeper, then it becomes effortless, right? And then it is the real thing. I mean, there's no. If a bad person does something good, he doesn't become a good person. He's still a bad person, right? Trying to be good. While with your approach, with your way of doing things, now it's a real transformation. And because of these insights, you are a different person, but not because you're trying to be that person. It's just because this is the natural thing that evolves and grows out of your insights and of the work you do for your consciousness. And I think that is the powerful, and I think that is the only true transformation, the only real transformation. Everything else is really just applying force against yourself, and it's not working, and only creates more resistance. So I think what you've described here is really, really beautiful and powerful. So I would like to thank you very, very much for that, Mariana. And I'm so glad we started off with, you said, I want to talk about some of the insights we have in the Consciousness Lab. And I think you've taken us on a beautiful journey here. And I'm definitely going to be someone who's going to listen to this conversation over and over and over again, because there was so much beauty in it and so much to learn. But again, not learning from an intellectual point, but really from a different point. And you described this beautiful when you were basically, you were not really asking a question in order to get an answer. You were staying with the question. And I think that's a thing that a lot of us are doing wrong, because the moment we have an answer, it's end of story and we close up. But if we continue to stay with the question, all things can come up, and our learning process is just so much deeper and so much more comprehensive than if we just say, okay, here's the question, here's my answer, next, right? And I think this is great to see how that you're working like this in the Consciousness Lab, and that you just stay with the question, ask it over and over and over again, and then these beautiful things come as a result. So thank you very much, Mariana. Great work also to the rest of the Consciousness Lab. I know you've got some amazing people in there. And so that's wonderful. So thank you again for the conversation. And I'm sure there's going to be a third episode in the not too far future.
Thank you. Thank you.
We trust you enjoyed this conversation, and we invite you to subscribe to our podcast so we can stay in touch and notify you of future episodes. We will end today's episode with the 8 verses meditation performed by Jin and Qigong teacher Katrin Hendricks. Enjoy.
In
To get your free ebook on the 8 verses meditation, please check the show notes below.